Hello, this is Nanette Nolan, and I'm with Torrance Council of PTAs. And today we're going to do a quick dive into what PTA leaders should be doing right now and over the next few months to set themselves up for success. Although this is primarily a resource for our current and incoming presidents, this is also a really helpful resource for PTA board members and chair people at large, and helping them kind of understand the timeline and the overall direction to help them kind of get set up for what's next, i.e., the handoff. So before I go on too much to this, and this might be maybe a more of a instructive note for new folks in PTA, before I get started, I wanted to give you guys a really quick explanation of what exactly the council is or does. So Torrance Council of PTA, in short, is a nonprofit association, just like you have a nonprofit association. We're here to serve you. Our PTAs, we serve all the PTAs, all 30 of them, across Torrance Unified School District. And our role is to provide leadership training materials, basically support you guys in your development and help you run your PTAs, compliantly, smartly, and help you guys be successful. We are also your mentors. Your unit will be paired with one of our council mentors, and they're essentially your personal resource. So, you'll expect them to come to do some of your meetings, maybe even all of your meetings, support you in other ways, be there if you have questions, about, your role or other functions. And not only that, at council, we also have several folks who could be mentors to some of your key positions. For instance, we have a treasurer, you have a treasurer, and a lot of times our treasurer and our financial team train or work to serve your financial teams. So that's really important to know, because if you find yourself getting stuck, you always have somebody who will have the answer for you, even if it's not maybe your immediate mentor. We have somebody for you. We also coordinate all of the work of the units with other agencies and local organizations in the area, and serve as a channel of communications between the state and district PTA and our units. So we do this by holding monthly meetings where we can share information with presidents, and we'll collect your financial reports, so treasurer's reports and the like, minutes, and other kind of important documents on a monthly basis. So for the board members who are here, especially the incoming ones, or those who are continuing on in another board, know that every month your president will have a checklist that comes from council that lays out exactly what's due. Red Ribbon Week reports and grant applications, all of that stuff. So that's for sure something we do as a service as well. And then a kind of a quick note about district in California or national PTA. Yes, it's all related. It's important to know that your PTA unit is part of a larger PTA, the national PTA. It is our overarching parent organization. California State PTA are leaders in California, and they work a lot. They do a lot for us. They're there for leadership development and support, but they also do a lot of legislative work, so advocating on behalf of our children and empowering us to do advocacy here in the state of California. So they're pretty important. And then our state of California PTA is broken up into what we call districts. So when we say district, we're usually not meaning the school district. Otherwise, we just say TUSD or Torrance Unified or district, school district. We belong to the 33rd District PTA. And they're by and large kind of what we are to you. They're our support, leadership training, and mentor. And they serve you as well. They do have trainings, and we invite you to come to many of their functions that they have throughout the year. But that's kind of the whole kit and caboodle. So that's what council is, and that's why I'm here trying to support you in this way. And we'll be coming out with additional training in the coming weeks and months. So I always think before you can really get into the meat and potatoes of anything, you have to know what are the tools of the trade. So we've created a page on the Torrance Council of PTA's website that lists all of this. I believe it's under the resources tab, and then I think it's in and out or transitioning or something like that. I've sent this video in an email, And the YouTube video that this is playing on actually also has the link. So down below, you'll find a link directly to the page that has these resources plus tons more. In it, you'll find an end of term checklist, which is really great for the outgoing board. And for the incoming people, it's not bad to listen to this now because at some point you'll be transitioning out yourself. And I don't expect you to absorb all of this. So we have collected these materials at our website. And over the coming months, we'll also be hosting virtual trainings and will be available also to assist you to close out your term or prepare for your next year, whatever the case may be. A quick note about the financial calendar. I think everybody should get a look at that, no matter if you're a chairperson, a board, a president. It says financial calendar, but truthfully, it's kind of a smart way of looking at your entire year. And I think if you have any kind of program or fundraiser or whatever your role is, chances are you're going to either need to make money or use money. And so knowing kind of just the, at a glance, how that will look, kind of on a calendar framework or whatever, that's incredibly helpful. And then I can't say this enough. CAPTA, California State PTA's website is the resource. It has everything you're going to need to run your unit. It has information on insurance. It has forms, fiduciary agreements. It talks about teachers' unions. It talks about your roles and responsibilities. It covers all the positions. Like, it is the treasure trove. So please, please, please. I mean, we want you to bookmark and use our site, but CAPTA is the holy grail, so use it. For the outgoing board members, so for all those of you who are trying to figure out how to close out the year, we know that it's kind of crazy and a little messy now, but we ask that you really make this your top priority to finalize your projects. So this includes any kind of chairman reports, financial reports, turning in your receipts, providing supporting documentation. If you had a project that was only halfway through, close it out. We know that this is the end of the year. We realize that a lot of programs and fundraisers and activities that we had planned obviously have been curtailed. Write up your reports as best you can, write up your notes, and include a lot of really great information, from what your project would have been and what it all entailed for you to get there. In the process of finalizing your role, what you really want to do is organize your procedure book. If you've never received one, this basically falls to you, outgoing board people, to create one that will help next year's board member or chairperson do their best at their job. We do have a cheat sheet at the Torrance Council PTA website. You can find that same one on CAPTA. I actually think that's what we do, is just link to it. And it's organized and collated. It has all the materials related to your PTA office and your committee and is known as a procedure book because that's basically what it is. It's the nuts and bolts. It's everything. It contains items like receipts and contracts, contact names, tidbits, timelines. I mean, the whole everything, minutes. So we think that it's invaluable because it contains the details that basically paint the picture on the scope of your position, how it was done, and what was achieved during the year. We also suggest that you create a digital file. I mean, we're in the 21st century, friends. There's no reason that, we didn't etch it out. You didn't sketch it out in stone. A lot of the stuff that you built, you spent all that hard work doing, is in a digital form some way. So, take the extra 20 minutes or whatever to find all the documents, organize it, maybe even rename them, put them in a couple of, digital file folders, and, upload it to Google Drive and share it out, or, put it on a flash drive or something like that. And make sure that you get those copies printed out if you can, as well as placed in this digital format. So if you, so this is also a good time to think through all the things that you learned on the job and wish someone had told you. I've been on the giving and receiving end of bad information, and it sucks. You feel like such a loser when you know that you should have spent 1 or 2 extra more hours really organizing things and trying to pass that baton. And it sucks when you've been given nothing and you have to recreate it. So please don't be that person. Things are a little crazy now, but digitally we can still work together, and I think you should. After the incoming person gets their materials, so once you've put that all together, got an electric format, got the procedure book, the next thing is to get that information to the incoming person. So, dropping it off on the porch or whatever. And then I would say the smart thing is set some time aside to invite that incoming person to have a virtual meeting with you. You go drop something off and you say, "Hey, when can we get together? Let's pick Friday of next week. How does that work for you?" And just take the initiative. You've already done this job. You know what it entails. You want to make sure that the new person takes that information and runs with it. So, plan some time to go over the finer points of the job. And in the event that you don't have someone to hand it off to, for instance, maybe there's just not a chairperson yet, or you don't know who it is, maybe consider making a very detailed top to bottom document that kind of just speaks to what this position is and all the things that it entails, kind of like a cover sheet. You could even record, kind of like what I'm doing here with the Google Slides. And you want it to be very detailed because you won't necessarily be available, right? Or you can also consider handing it off to the incoming president and having that discussion. For sure, don't keep it in your garage, hand it off, but this is kind of what the expectation is, and this is really the last opportunity you have to kind of just finalize it. So don't wait till next year, don't wait till the summer, because that's not hot, we know that. That's kind of my spiel. If you guys have trouble, have questions, don't know what we're talking about, please reach out. We're here for you. Regardless of, and this is for the incoming, now I'm speaking to the incoming officers and chairs, regardless of whether or not you've been on the board before, or you're moving into a new role, or you're completely new, you'll start to organize and orient yourself now, even though your role won't begin until July 1. So I will say that again. Even though your role, your term does not technically begin until July 1, this is really your opportunity to do some smart planning and get yourself ready. So expect to have meetings now, expect to have meetings in the summer. That's totally normal. And actually the hard work that you do now will make the fall seem so much more approachable. This is a little kind of mini timeline of the next couple of few months, and it's not meant to be super comprehensive. It's really just a bird's eye view. Right about now, you guys should have, or hopefully have already had, one or two board elect meetings where your president's called you guys together and you guys have talked about budgets and goals and priorities. If that has not happened, kindly reach out to your board president, or if you're the president listening to this now, get a meeting together. And if you have trouble, questions, reach out to your predecessor, but absolutely feel like you can reach out to us at council as well, and we can help you get that process going. But it's vital that you guys talk about budgets and priorities and goals, and you work with your principal on creating a calendar, because we don't do any of this in a vacuum. We're guests at their schools, so input from our administrators are critical and invaluable. Now, where we're at now, May, June, you should be meeting with your outgoing officer or chair people to understand your role. If you're an incoming president, maybe you just don't have enough of your chairs put together, that does mean you have to work doubly hard to work with your outgoing president and their chair people to get everything from them. So even if you don't have a red ribbon week chair now, you're going to have one eventually. You should get whatever anybody had, and don't take no for an answer. Like, really press the issue that you should have this, and you want to make sure that you get your people off to a great start. Regardless of what your role or function is, you'll also want to start thinking about, unless your events or whatever is really at the end of next year, begin thinking about the plan. Getting quotes, getting timelines, committees, approvals. Again, this is where the procedure book that I just spoke to the outgoing officers about is really critical, because otherwise you're kind of recreating the wheel and hoping that people remember what happened last year, and we have faulty memories. So don't do that to yourself. Get the dirt now. And then over the summer, I know I said August, but truthfully, it could be July, it could be August, it could be all throughout summer. You should be having, as a board, planning meetings and meetings with committees. So if you have committees, get on some Zoom calls or Google Meets or whatever, and have these discussions sooner rather than later. And you'll really be spending the summer kind of refining your game plan and getting set for the next school year. And I'll say this, although I'm not sure if I've said this before, this is not meant to be super ultra comprehensive. Your guys' roles are going to be so varied, so different, that there's no way I could give you a quick training that would cover every single instance. So again, this is why you'll have a mentor to kind of answer those squirrely questions, and while we'll be giving very specific training for some of your roles to cover the things you're really going to need. So this is just, again, kind of meant to be sort of a at a glance and kind of help you visualize what's coming. And then in September, so we begin school, I should back up. We begin school the last week of August. So know that you'll have to hit the ground running with your membership campaigns, with fundraising, with whatever you do, direct donations. And September will be likely your first official board meeting and association meeting of the school year. Obviously, by this point, you would have hopefully met several times, but this is when you start kind of getting into a rhythm of, you go to meetings, you submit reports, approvals, authorizations. Note that not all chair people go to every meeting. Some chair people only go to meetings that they're invited to, because that's the time frame. Maybe if you're a Red Ribbon Week chair and that happens in the end of October, maybe you would have gone in September to ask for approval, and then you would have come in October to give a status report, and then you would have come back in November to give your summary report and turn in your receipts. That's at your president's discretion, but then from that point forward, you're kind of in a flow of every month your board, regardless of whether or not you're a chairperson who's going to that or not, there will be a monthly meeting, and the business of the association will be conducted at those meetings. So by then, you're kind of in a nice rhythm, but September is crazy pants, so just know that. I also wanted to throw out a couple of caveats that are kind of important to know. So as we're talking about budgets, and budgets are everybody's thing. They're not just the president's. It doesn't just fall to the treasurer, especially if you're on the board of directors or an executive board. We're all financial officers in some respect. We're responsible for, I should say we're all responsible for the finances of our association. Because our school year or PTA year kind of got hit hard early March, we've basically been 3 months without fundraising, membership, and other things that we had planned on to kind of make us solvent. That being said, understand that your priorities and budgeting next year will look different, very likely. So it's important that now you flesh out a very realistic, somewhat gutted probably, budget that reflects more of what's going to actually be in your bank account rather than what you've had in the past. So that's something to think about, which also means that it affects what kind of programs and fundraising and activities you're participating in. So I don't mean that to be gloom and doom. I think it's important to mention it because that's something that's, we're all going to face. The other caveat I would say is I don't know that anybody 100% knows what's going to happen in the future, right? So, things could be fine. We go back in September and August, or August and September and October, and everything's peachy. But I would say that as you're thinking about fundraisers, activities, events, anything for next year, that you do it with the mindfulness that, things could be canceled, stuff could be rescheduled. And so I would hate for you guys to sign contracts or make plans that rely 100% on everything going to plan, which means I think it's really important for you guys to really build in some thoughtfulness on, could you easily transition this fundraiser or that item to totally virtual? Could your membership drive be completely on Totem? And I think the answer is yes in many cases. And so I would challenge you guys to maybe think about what are some of the worst case scenarios and come up with contingency plans now. You may never need them, but I assure you that you'll be thankful if, things do take a turn for the worst or whatever in the fall, that we are as prepared as we can to support our association and not be decimated as a small organization. Okay. And again, we can definitely be here to support you, bounce ideas off of you, and every unit is absolutely unique. So, I can't give any specific advice here. The next thing I would say is I want to give some homework to the incoming officers. I will say this very clearly: is it is 100% your job to learn your role. You may or may not. Um, well, we know that there are going to be a lot of questions, right? But in over the next few weeks, we recommend that you do these things to set yourself up for success. It's certainly possible you won't have somebody handing off materials to you. That happens. Um, it's also possible that they won't be giving it to you in a timely manner. Maybe they've got things going on, and that also happens. So something you can do for yourself right now is learn your role as best you can. Speak to current board members. You can go onto the California State PTA Toolkit and look for, there's a section that talks about job responsibilities or positions, and it goes into some, pretty good detail on a lot of those. And again, if you have the procedure book, go through it, ask questions, and set the time aside to meet with the outgoing officer or board member. That way you can really understand. And if you have to go back a couple times and ask questions, I say do it now. Make sure you fully understand like what you're getting into and know how to reach them when everything is changed. If they're no longer using that PTA email, can you reach them via their home phone number or cell phone or whatever. So yeah, read the toolkit. You can find job descriptions, there's templates, there's reports, and it's perfect. The other thing is start planning. Again, unless you're one of the few people who won't have a job and have something to do until like March or April or May of next year, a lot of us are basically hitting the ground running in September. And so it's important that you right now start to draft a plan, get your dates, all of that together. So once you've learned about what your job entails, you can start fleshing out and starting your plan. For instance, if you're a Red Ribbon Week chair, you might look at last year's procedure book and determine what the budget was and what the activities were and what materials you used and what activities you ran. And then you can kind of surmise what your plan should be from that. And one really great way to kind of pull that all together in a really concise way is using the event or activity planning sheets that we also provide on our website. They're super helpful. I mean, it covers everything, but it's not overwhelming. And then you would just provide this to your president and have it go to them for discussion at the next board meeting. So the president would get the report, hopefully pass it on to the rest of the board members. They would all discuss it, look at the budget, make determinations, and help flesh out that plan more. So it's very likely that the plan you turn in will not be the plan that gets approved, and that's okay. That happens actually pretty frequently. That's part of the process. And obviously, with any budget, with any kind of budget changes, that approval also has to go to your association. So it's really important now that you guys get, if you have one more association meeting planned, that you get all of the, your preliminary budget and all of those things put together. So it makes it even more critical for the chair people, especially those that are doing stuff in September, October, to get their act together now. This is what I was speaking about was input and approval. So you'd share that plan with your president, the board. They'd discuss it, and you'd be involved in that, of course, too. And then set your plan in motion. Move forward with executing your plan. If you find yourself lost or you need some ideas, you can connect obviously with your board and your presidents, but you can also connect with other PTA units, for their advice on who they use as vendors, what activities they do, and kind of learn from that. So we can actually help put you in touch with them. And then your school principal is the main source, like such a huge source for your entire board. I wouldn't recommend you, constantly going directly to your board president and rather working through your board members and having your president basically be the one that helps amplify your voice. If I'm speaking to you as a chairperson. So that's what I would recommend there. That's kind of like your homework. Learn your role, start your planning, get your approvals, and get going. And then last but not least, you're really not alone. We're going to have trainings here. 33rd District has trainings. California State PTA has trainings. And I suspect we're going to have a lot more virtual stuff going as well. So trainings all over the wazoo. You should be hearing about those. If you're not a president, you'll be hearing about those from your president. And And if you have questions, you can always reach out here, but we'll be giving that info on as soon as we know the dates and have nailed down the specifics. Again, you'll have a council mentor assigned to your president at your unit, and they're really kind of your unit's personal guide. And we also highly encourage you to work with your president and your board. That's your crew. Those are your homies that you guys are in this together. So get to know them, trust them. You guys build a rapport, work together for the betterment of your school community, and you're going to be all right. And then last but not least, obviously, online tools such as the Torrance Council website or capta.org. Those are like primo resources. They have everything. And if you get lost, you can always, again, reach out. And then I just thought it'd be cute to end with a little bit of panda love. Want to send hugs to you guys. I know it's been a really wild couple of months. I won't say the word unprecedented to describe it because I'm over that word, but it's been something. And I know that a lot of you, this wasn't how any of us envisioned the year beginning or term beginning or ending. And it's been challenging for lots of people in a multitude of ways. And just know we're here for one another. Remember the mission of PTA and why we do it, and just know that we're in this together and we're going to be okay. Again, there's our web address. You can find us on Facebook. I do hope that you guys will follow us there because we post a lot of cool resources. And hey, dude, don't be a stranger. Reach out if you get stuck. Denise Spellman is our amazing council president. You can reach her at torranceptas@gmail. She's all over the place doing lots of really great work. And then again, my name is Nanette Nolan. I'm on council, and you can reach me at tcpta1vp@gmail.com. That's it. You guys now go forward and be awesome.